Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Antonio with 100 Days of Cloud, and welcome to the very first live stream. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? We just wanted to see if the streaming quality is up to. It's okay. I'm gonna wait just a second to see some messages to confirm that we are live and well. All right, so seems that we are good to go. So, welcome to the first live stream. Again, I'm Antonio. I'm with 100 Days of Cloud on the core team, and today we will be covering one of our 100 Days of Cloud mini projects. And today, in particular, we are gonna cover the 100 Days of Cloud Neto for AWS 100. And it is hosting a simple static page with S3 and CloudFront. And on top of that, we're actually also going to create a simple CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Actions. This is not really a stream focused on creating a web page. So we're going to keep it very simple for all the people that are not into web development or don't know where to start. The only very key things that we would need is a node installed on our computer, and then I would say npm comes installed with node, and from there everything is fine. What we're gonna deploy is actually just a simple create react app. We're gonna create a repository on our account. We're gonna link it to our AWS account. We're gonna deploy it on S3 and use a content delivery network, CloudFront, to deliver it everywhere. So the only thing that you need to know in terms of skills for the Create React app is just how to install it, but I'm gonna walk you through the entire process. So let's actually get started. I'm gonna show you exactly how to start a project in Create React app, and it's very simple. I'm gonna open my Visual Studio Code that I believe is a little bit too small, and so I'm actually gonna zoom in quite a bit, I would argue. Let me know when is it okay, like when can you actually start seeing okay texts. So I don't want to just like make it very hard for you to see and similar. I'm gonna just go even one deeper and zoom in one more. Okay. You should be able to see also my terminal down here. Let me know if you are able to. Just want to continue. Before continuing, I want to just make sure that everyone has a chance to see what we're working on. Well, Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Let's continue. So the very first thing to do is move to the directory where we want everything to be. In this case, I am on my user. I'm gonna just move to the desktop, and then right on the desktop, I'm gonna create my application. So what I'm gonna do is npx create react app, and then I'm gonna just call it live stream for this case. I'm gonna just click OK, and it's gonna take a second. It's gonna download all the necessary packages, create also a good Git repository initialized already for us. This will make it easier for us to actually create a repo, push it online, push it to the GitHub repo, and it's gonna make it much easier for us to interact with the push and pulls. So let's give it a second. Okay, create package. It's gonna take a second because there is a few packages. Not everything is always needed in Create React App. It's kind of not the best tool for a very, very small project, but it actually comes already with a lot of scripts and optimized build scripts that I feel are like very easy to interact with. So that's why I'm using it. It's not the most lightweight of React like starters or like bootstraps, but it works. It's serviceable. Gonna take a second. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do while this installs, I'm gonna go to my profile on GitHub, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new repository, which I'm gonna call live stream as well in this case. And this is gonna be our repository where all our code is gonna live. So we're gonna call it live streaming. Okay, I'm just gonna skip the step because what we're gonna do is import an existing repository. As I mentioned, Create React App already creates a Git repository, so we don't need to initialize the README. We're gonna make just a little bit more complicated to synchronize the two repositories. So this is what I'm gonna do. Now the repository is created. There are a few things that we need to. It might be my internet unfortunately is not that great, as Gwen mentioned that the stream keeps cutting in and out. Unfortunately, that is my fear. It's like that it was gonna cut in and out. We'll try to keep it as serviceable as possible. No, it probably is my internet, unfortunately. It is a pretty bad internet. I'm very sorry about that. It should be easier. It should be working a little bit better in a tiny bit, I would argue, because there is a lot of like open right now, and probably it's my poor old laptop that is not handling everything very well. As you can see, but this Create React App is going forward. It's gonna take a second again, but it's gonna go forward. But in the meantime, what we have here is we have our repository ready. As you can see, whenever you create a new repository completely empty, there is always like a push an existing repository from the command line. These are the three commands that we have to issue, and we're gonna issue them. I'm sorry for the fact it's cutting out. I hope that it's gonna get a little bit better as I move along. I think it's mainly because there was a lot of download from Create React App. Is it like more? Is it better right now? I hope it is a tiny bit better. Okay, so we'll continue. So right now what we have a folder on our desktop that is called live stream. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open that folder, and I'm gonna go, so it's gonna be on my desktop and it's gonna be live stream. I'm gonna open it in my in my VS Code as my folder. So once we have it, it's a very basic React app. If you ever worked with React, most likely you used the Create React app before. But the key thing that we're gonna manipulate is gonna be in the app file. So one other thing that we have to do now that we have the Git repository that is ready is actually pushing this repository as it is on on an existing repository from the command line. So what we're gonna do is git remote at origin with the link. In this case, I'm using my repository. If you're following along, you're gonna have your own repository, and the link is obviously gonna be different, but the location of these commands is gonna be the same. So I'm gonna create a remote and add the origin branch to the master branch. And then I am gonna push to the origin on the master branch whenever it decides to go. Oh, I'm sorry, like if the sound is good, I feel that might be the most I guess that might be the best thing, I assume. I'm gonna walk through, like, explain every single piece of it, and I'm gonna try to go as low as possible, so you should be able, almost like a podcast or an audiobook. Think about this as Bob Ross explaining you how to make a painting, but you're not looking at his painting. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna push to the master using, again, the three commands that GitHub offers you right away when you create a new empty repository. Okay, now we're there, almost. Okay, there we go. So now what we can do is go back to GitHub, refresh. And as you can see, now we have a live streaming. We have all of our applications. All of our code is pushed to the master. So what we need to do next is actually dive deeper in AWS. This is like the beginning of the website. This is like already a serviceable website. We can just run npm start. npm start will already create a localhost version of of our website, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it looks like, and that's gonna also help us understand what are gonna be the changes that we're gonna make over time, so you know that our deployment is actually working. Okay, so now we have a development server on. It's gonna take a second because my laptop is not the most helpful friend I have at the moment. And good again. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, it's not nice always like to work on this. It's a very old laptop. I'm very sorry about this. Okay, there we go. So see, this is basically the Create React app. Maybe you could try turning your video off for a bit, keep the screen but not the actual video. Yes, let's try that. Let's actually get rid of my video capture device. I'm not even like that. Let's just hide it for now. There we go. Maybe it works better. Okay, so we have our we do have our application running, and this is basically what we want to deploy on Cloud Front and S3. That's gonna be almost the final product. And again, given that this is a React app, this is like running technically on a server. What we can do with React app is actually create a build version that creates static files. Now I'm gonna kill this local host. I don't need this. And as you can see, we can say to create a production build, use yarn builder, npm start, npm run build. You can use depend on the package manager that you're using. Now I'm gonna kill this, and then I'm gonna start a new one. So now let's dive actually in AWS. What we're gonna need to do in AWS is actually create an S3 bucket, and then we can already create a CI/CD pipeline that will deploy our code to the S3 bucket every time we push to the remote repository on GitHub. And so what is the first step is actually going on AWS. What I'm gonna use for this situation is a Cloud Guru, the Cloud Playground on a Cloud Guru. I am a Cloud Guru community influencer, but this stream is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. It's just like a very good tool because I can just create my own disposable AWS environment, and then it's gonna be killed in like whenever I want, or at worst in 4 hours. So I can just create this and use it for my exploration. So what we're gonna do is, like in this case in a Cloud Guru, I'm gonna start the AWS sandbox. And then I'm gonna move this to the side because there are all the passwords and similar. What I'm gonna do is actually open a URL in a private window. And this is basically this is just like AWS, like your usual run-of-the-mill AWS. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sign in with my username and my password. I can sign in, and then boom, we are inside of AWS. So the first thing to do is to go to S3 and create a bucket. This bucket can be named really whatever you want. It doesn't have to have a specific name. Like if you're creating a website, it's a better logical step to create a name that is the same as your website name. But in this case, we're not using, oops, these are all spam emails. We're actually not gonna create an actual domain, because that entails actually buying a domain, and entails creating a hosted zone on Route 53. All of these things are not in the free tier. So we want to make sure that these mini projects in the 100 Days of Cloud are all included in the free tier. So this is going to be fully in your free tier. So what we're going to do is create a bucket. For my sake, we're going to call it 100 Days of Cloud live stream. And I'm going to go next. And I'm going to go next. Set permissions. Okay, now there are primarily two ways of deploying a static website on S3. Either you do directly S3 and you enable S3 to host a static website, and you make and you don't block all the public access, and that is completely fine. We're actually gonna see this in a second. That is completely fine. The key problem is that it's not safe. Let's say that you're actually creating a static website that serves content behind like a paywall. Maybe you're giving like premium content, or you're giving a specific video training that you want people to access only, like you want to give a specific people access. If you have all public access, block all public access, not on, it means that everyone that has anybody that has the S3 endpoint will be able to see the content of your bucket. So there is no protection there. So you won't be able to actually prevent access to people that shouldn't have access. So, but it's completely serviceable. In our case, it could be fully serviceable, but I feel like it's a better practice to actually secure the entire website through CloudFront, and we're gonna see how to do that. For now, what we're gonna do is actually untick this just to see that our thing is working. Our CI/CD deployment is working. We are gonna untick this, and disabling block all public access might result in this bucket and object within becoming public. That's okay, we want to do this. So I am gonna say, I acknowledge that the current settings may result in a bucket, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna move on forward, and I'm gonna create the bucket. So now we have this 100 Days of Cloud live stream bucket. So now, the next thing to do is that what we could do is just drop in the files if we created a version of our website. Like if we were to actually go back to our VS Code and type yarn build would work. Like we can do this. I'm gonna show you. We can create yarn build, and it will run the script to create a static version of our React website. And the key reason why we shouldn't do this is because every single time you do a single change, you want to change a comma, or you don't like the little padding on that like area there, you would have to recreate the public, and then you would have to delete the old files, upload the new files, and it's a very manual process. That's where CI/CD and GitHub Actions come into place. So we are creating an optimized production build, and as you can see, there is a new folder that has been created called Livestream Build, and that's basically what we want to have in our S3. There we go. Now we have it. So if I go on my desktop, which is where I have my my files, I can close these down. I can go to upload in S3 so that I open this interface, and I go to desktop, and I go to live stream, I go to build, I copy all of these, and I drop it in. So as you can see, it's literally just half a megabyte size, so it's very, very, very optimized and small. I'm gonna do next, and I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna do next. This is just saying where in which tier of S3 do we want the files to live. For example, if this was just a storage in the cloud that we wanted to use, but we just wanna like keep it there, we would use maybe something like standard infrequent access, one zone infrequent access. So in this case, we wanna just keep it standard. It's fine. We're gonna go forward and upload. So now it's uploading all the files. Gonna take it just a second, and now we have all the files. And as you can see, now technically, if I go and click click on something, and I can go to object URL. This is like the index HTML. As you can see, like each object in S3, each of these is an object that I can just reach by using this endpoint. Let's see what it does. I'm gonna click on it, and it's gonna say, hey, access denied. But you said, wait, we blocked the access before, we unticked the block all public access before. Yes, there is an extra layer of security on top of that. So what we can do is go back to the live stream. What we're gonna do is we're gonna select all of them, right click, and then we have to say make public. And now we can say make public. Okay, now all of these public objects are actually public, and what I can do, let's see if now it works. I can click on here. There you go, create React app. But the thing is that it's a little bit annoying to always reach on that, like on these this code. What another way that we can do, another endpoint that we can do, is just go to properties. And we can do, we actually go back. This is properties for the object. We have to go to the properties of the bucket. We're gonna go to static website hosting, use this bucket to host a website. And this is index.html. You have to specify the entry point for the website. So in this case, we have to specify that our root object is gonna be index.html. I can save this, and now if I go and click on this website, boom, it's accessible. This is a website. This is fully a website. Now I can even share it with you. I'm gonna share it in the chat so you can see that like this is not only accessible by me, but everyone can actually go to that website and access it. And this is one way of deploying a website on S3. But as you can see, it's very it's a lot of it's a lot of work. It's we have to create the go to VS Code, create a build, upload the build, make all the files public, enable our website hosting. It takes a while, and the better way to do this process is actually creating our own CI/CD pipeline, which is actually the next step that we're gonna tackle. Okay, so let's close this, and now we only need, we don't need anything specifically, only the name of the actual bucket is gonna be important. So let's go back to our VS Code. So now what we're gonna need is to create a YAML file that is gonna basically contain all of our GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions is just like a way for a GitHub repository to react to specific actions that happened on the repository, such as oh, hey Christina, how's it going? We are actually, we can react to actions based on whether it's push, it's a pull request, or similar. And the way it works, it just GitHub just creates a Docker environment for you that will run all of these actions automatically. And the actions are defined in a document that sits in a special folder in your entire group there, in your in your repository. Okay, so what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna create a new folder, and the new folder has to be at the root of the project. The new folder is gonna be .github. Inside the .github, there's gonna be another folder that is called workflows. And inside that for workflows, there's gonna be a YAML file. We can call it whatever we wanna wherever we wanna. And we're gonna, in this case, we're just gonna call it CICD.YAML. Okay, this is basically the very beginning of our GitHub action. There are a few specific GitHub related things that we have to say. So what we're gonna start with is the name, and the name in this case we wanna just call it CICD. Let's call it just CICD. So what we're gonna say after is gonna say on, and on, as you can see, I have my my helper on VS Code, and it says that the on is the name of the GitHub events that triggers the workflow. In this case, what we want to trigger it on is push, and then what we're gonna say is jobs. So jobs, as you can see again, it's a workflow run made of one or more jobs, smaller steps. So basically what we're gonna do is jobs, then a tab, and it's gonna be this is like a build job, because basically what we're creating is actually is a whole build. This is like a build is just like a container name for the set of actions that I'm gonna explain after. If you have multiple set of actions that you're doing in a row, this is gonna help you basically log what type of like actions have taken place in a specific group. So in this group, it's gonna be called build for us. And then this is gonna be runs on. Runs on tells us which machine will run the job on. In this case, it's basically which Docker image we're gonna spin up to actually run this entire job. In our case, Ubuntu latest is totally fine. Then we have to specify the steps. So we have the steps now. And the first thing we have to do is actually check out the current branch. And that's done by, we can say like name, and it's gonna be branch checkout. And this is just for us to know which step is which. So we don't have to just rely on remembering what type of action it runs. So we go down, we go two spaces forward so that they are all under the same line under name, and it's gonna say uses. Uses is actually the actions that are specifically used in this build process, and you can use actions that have already been specified by other users. In this case, what we're gonna use is one of the actions that GitHub offers, that is called actions checkout at v1. This just basically what it does, it just takes the current branch that we're on and it provides it to the Ubuntu container that we just created, so that it actually knows what is the code that we're actually using for. So the next step is actually configuring our AWS credentials. So what we're gonna say is name configure AWS credentials. Again, all these names are not like very, they don't have to be specific to what you're doing. It's just helpful to know that this is actually the step that configures AWS credential. You can call it AWS login. You can say whatever you want, really. But in this case, it's just like just so that whenever we're looking at the logs for our GitHub actions, it's gonna be easier to recognize which one we're using. And in this case, we're using another action that has been already created, and it's called AWS actions and configure AWS credentials v1. Again, version 1 of this specific type of action, and uses with. With is just a set of, again, let's see, it's a map. Again, it's just like a list of it's a list of the things that we need to actually configure our bucket. In our case, what we will need is the secret access key ID and the secret access key, like the two combination that whenever you create programmatic access on your AWS account, you only see once and never again. But now we're gonna say, hey, Antonio, but the problem is that why would I just like put in my AWS all my AWS things on a plain file, because this is gonna be accessible by everyone. We're gonna actually leverage something that is called GitHub Secrets. So if you can open your GitHub repository, you will find that if I go to my GitHub page, that's the wrong one. I'm gonna go here and here. Now this is my live streaming. This is my GitHub repository for this project. If I go to settings and I go in secrets, this is basically just environment variables that will remain always encrypted, are not accessible by people outside. Even actually you are unable to see them again after you put them in. You can delete them and like add them again, but it's gonna be very be very secure, and all the collaborators can use it, so you can share keys without having to actually share the actual key. So it maintains to a degree the security that is needed in this situation. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create two secrets, and the two secrets are gonna be called AWS access key ID. And again, I'm not gonna show you in this case, so I'm gonna take away the screen for a second, because again, these are secrets that are important to keep secret. And the other one to see is there is a new secret. And this new secret is gonna be AWS secret access key. And again, we're gonna move away for a second. You get to see ugly mug. Okay. So now we have our secrets on, so we can return here. So as you can see, now we have two AWS access key ID and AWS secret ID. So now the next step in this whole process is going back to our VS Code, and what we need is with in this case we have to go, I think, even deeper. Yeah, that's the fun part with YAML. With AWS access key ID, with access key ID, what we're gonna do is actually use a variable, because now these secret access key ID that we put, they are just in our, they're just in our secrets. Like now these are environment variables, and like most environment variables in a number of programming languages that you might have come across, what we can just do is just saying secrets dot AWS access key ID. And now whenever we are accessing, whenever we're running this, what is gonna go in the secrets of GitHub secrets and pull the access key ID. Same thing, we can do the same thing with the secret. We're just gonna copy that, and it's gonna be called access ID, and it's gonna be secret access ID actually, sorry, and it's gonna be AWS secret access ID. Key, actually, in this case, is a secret access. No, it's not. Wow, that was actually not worth copying. Okay, so key. Okay, so this is the other thing, and the last thing that we have to do is the AWS region, and it's gonna be just AWS region, and I'm in US East 1, so I'm gonna be US East 1. Okay, so this is our configuration for AWS. The next two steps are very simple. We have to build the static website, and we have to push it to our S3. And so what we're gonna do is name, and this is gonna be called let's call it like build, static build. Again, this can be spaces, without space. I'm gonna just keep it without spaces for consistency. And this is gonna be using, actually no, this is not gonna be a using, this is gonna be a run, because now we are inside of our container, and so now we can start running actual actions. And what we're gonna do is yarn install, so that this installs all of our packages, and yarn build, and this is gonna build the static website just as I showed you before. I used npm build before, works, yarn works the same. It's just like two different package managers. In this case I just prefer using yarn because there is a yarn log file, but I don't want to just change that. I would have to just delete the file and just recreate the package log file. Just not gonna do that. Then we're gonna do name. Next one is gonna be deploy to S3, and then this is gonna do run. Hey Mo, how's it going? And then it's gonna be we're gonna run. So one thing is that whenever you were using a configure AWS credential, basically automatically we're gonna also get access to an AWS to our AWS command line interface, so we can just like deploy regular AWS CLI tools. So what we're gonna do is AWS S3, we're gonna sync, and we're gonna sync the folder that in our machine, whenever we actually run the yarn build, there's gonna be. Yes, we are building a CI pipeline, CI/CD pipeline for our website. We're using just a create React app to build a simple website, and we're building a CI pipeline to deploy it to S3. So we're gonna actually, when we run the yarn build, the folder, as we remember, the folder is here, and it's this build file, this build folder. This is what we want to actually deploy. So we're gonna say build. And we want to sync the folder, and we want to sync it to this bucket that is called, let's go back and check what's the name of that bucket. The bucket is called 100 Days of Cloud Livestream. So I'm gonna just say 100 Days of Cloud Livestream, and then I'm gonna put the flag delete. This will actually remove all the previous files that were there, and then upload just a fresh copy. You could do it so that it just uploads the files that have changed. It takes just a second extra. It's a little bit more involved because you might wanna you might wanna enable versioning of your bucket. It's always a better idea, but just for the sake of the say remaining in the free tier and simplicity, it is a very simple app. We're not gonna do that. So this is the whole CI/CD pipeline, actually. As you can see, it's actually pretty simple. Like, you can actually read it and say, oh, that's actually readable. It's not like very complicated, because it is not. It's actually very simple. What I'm gonna do is gonna save this file now. And now it's saved. What I'm gonna do also is I'm just gonna go to my Git. And I'm just gonna say, see, as you can see, there is a change recently. There was a recent change. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna just say configure. Remember, always make good commit messages. Short, to the point, and they're actually helpful. Configure CI/CD action pipeline. Okay, so I'm gonna commit this. It's gonna commit it, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually push it. Now, pushing it will create a lot of different things, and what we're gonna do is once you finish pushing, we're gonna go back to GitHub, and now if we go now to our Antonio Lofiego, no, oops, that's the wrong one. We go back to our repository. We can see that there is a new GitHub workflows, and we can go to actions. Oh, there you go. As you can see, there is a new CI/CD workflow, and now you can see that this is actually running, and we can actually enter that. And now it's gonna be one in progress job, and as you can see, you enter, and it's already done the credentials, and now it's most likely given that we know this is the static build, we know that now it's actually doing the yarn install yarn build. Then it's going to deploy it to S3, and as we can see, we can wait a second. This again, we haven't done any change yet to the. We haven't done any single change yet to the application, so there's not gonna be a difference from now. From the application that we saw before that was working on the S3 and the application that is now being deployed. But now, just to check that this is gonna actually work, and as we can see, is working. Boom, completed job. Push, everything is fine. Let's go back to our S3. If we actually refresh, we can see that now the last modified, that's our only way of saying, hey, actually, it did modify, it worked. And it's actually last modified 452, and sure enough, that is the one that we just pushed. But one thing to check is this. We can go to the properties and enable website. Let's see to the website, and as you can see, hey, 403 is the same error that we were getting before. Why? It's because we didn't actually make these new items are actually not public. We have to select them all and actually make them public. Make public. And then we can go to properties, static access, and now if we go, boom, now it works. This is a CI/CD pipeline deploying your static website to S3. Now, let's take this a step further. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go, our entire pipeline is done now. We can actually, if you want, I can show you that this actually works. Let's actually just do a very, very fast edit. It's gonna take a second because it has to run the entire entire run again. But let's still go here and let's say, hey, let's change this to say, you should join the 100 Days of Cloud. If I can write server, Discord server. Okay, let's add it. Okay, so now we have a new app, a new version. We can say add plug and we can commit it. and then we can push it. Now it's pushing. Let it work. As soon as it's done doing this, we can go back to our GitHub again and see that if everything worked fine. I mean, I hope it worked fine because there wasn't a lot of changes really. Let's see, where did it go? Here, configure pipeline. Now, let's see, let's refresh this. Actually, no, we have to go back to actions because this is a different commit. And as you can see, hey, there you go, add plug. We can actually go inside, build, and there you go. It's doing all of this. If you have any questions for now, while it's building, I can try to answer any question that you might have. And in the meantime, I'm just waiting for this to actually deploy. You can feel free to just put them in the chat if you have any question. This is not, again, this takes like around a minute to create everything. As you can see, it's pretty fast. The deployment to S3 is actually very fast because again, there's not a lot of files and it's not even a very heavy file. Okay, boom, there we go. So now if we go back to our here, S3, we didn't change anything. What is gonna happen if I refresh this? It's gonna say 403 forbidden. Why? Because we didn't make this public. And so what we're gonna do is go back. As you can see now, it's like if we refresh this, it's 455, so we know they are the new files. Let's actually select them all and go down, make public, and now I can go here, refresh, and you should join the 100 Days of Cloud server. There you go, see? And this is like how easy it is to deploy a new version of the website every time using S3, static website serving, and a CI/CD pipeline in GitHub Actions. It's super easy. The problem is that, as you can see, there is still a little bit of extra friction, and the goal now is actually to remove that extra friction by deploying this not via S3, but actually by deploying it on CloudFront. So what we're gonna do is the following. We're gonna go in Properties. We're gonna maintain this. This is completely fine. What we're gonna do instead is actually go to Permissions, and we're gonna edit this, and we're gonna block all of the public access. This means that now we have to confirm this, obviously, because it's a big change from before. So actually, yes, that is the key problem. There is a setting somewhere that actually manages the lifecycle policies for you, and whenever on the bucket, whenever you have to like the basics of the bucket, you can make public. As soon as they are added, you can make them public. I have to, I out of the top of my head, I can't remember where it is actually, where it is that we can do that. But I can definitely follow up on one of the future articles that we are gonna release related to these topics. But so now, basically, what we're gonna do, we just set the permissions. As you can see, we blocked all the public access. So if we go to Properties again, and we go to Website Hosting, if we go here, you can see it's forbidden, and that's good. We don't want it to be we don't want it to be available because we're blocking all the public access. So what we're gonna do now is actually this. We're gonna go to Services. We're gonna go to down, or you can search for them, but it's in just to know where you were looking for. Under Networking and Content Delivery, we want to go to CloudFront. So CloudFront is a CDN. It's a content distribution network. So basically what it's gonna do is gonna take one origin That can be an S3 bucket, it can be an EC2 machine or similar. Can be a bunch of different origins, and it's gonna cache all of the content on edge locations. You know that the AWS infrastructure is built of regions, availability zones, and edge locations. Edge locations are primarily used by CloudFront and the content distribution network, and Lambda at Edge, which are Lambda functions that are specifically working on they are working and being deployed in a specific edge location based on the requester. But this is outside of the topic for this, but just to know what CloudFront does, it just makes your static serving faster, because all the content is cached at a location that is closer to the person that is requesting the access. So we're going to create a distribution, and there are two distribution. One is the web, we're going to use that one. The other one is RTMP, and it's for Adobe streaming. It's actually being discontinued. You don't really want to use that. So let's create one. So what we're going to do is actually origin domain name. As you can see, if we click on it, the first thing that pops up is the Amazon S3 bucket. In my case, I have only one bucket, so that's the one that pops up. But if you have multiple buckets, there's going to be other buckets. As you can see, there are other origins that are available, like it can be Media Store, Media Package, Elastic Load Balancers, Amazon S3 buckets. We're gonna do with Amazon S3 buckets. Hey, Rishabh, how's it going? So now what we're gonna do is restrict bucket access. Yes, we're gonna put yes. We're gonna create a new identity, and then we have to add a comment. This is just a comment, this is not a name. The name of the origin access identity, or you might see it around as OAI, and it's basically just to protect the access to your origin only by letting people pass if they're coming from CloudFront. So if they hit the CloudFront endpoint, they're gonna be allowed in. If they're not hitting the CloudFront endpoint, and maybe they have access to the endpoint for the S3 bucket, the one that we showed you before, if they have access to that one, there won't be allowed in. So this is what it does. A comment is just to make sure that if you have multiple distribution, you know which one is which, so you can refer to the specific access identity policy. But in this case, we're just gonna say live stream, like live stream. This is, again, this doesn't change. But one important thing that we have to do is actually, yes, update the bucket policy. If you don't do that, what you have to do is actually go to S3, and you would have to go to your bucket. It's gonna take a second to load. It's gonna go your bucket, and you have to go to permissions, and then you have to go to bucket policy and type a long, complicated JSON file with a lot of things that explicitly allows the CloudFront distribution access to the OAI, and you have to find what the OAI ID is, and it's also more complicated. So no, let's actually have AWS be a homie and do that for us. So we're gonna say yes, update bucket policy, and then what we're gonna do is we can redirect HTTP to HTTPS only. And this is like based on what is the request coming. Is someone requesting this to be HTTP, HTTPS? If you do HTTPS only, if someone types HTTP and then the bucket name, they're not gonna let him in. The key thing is that in this case, we're not, again, as I mentioned before, we're not gonna deal with anything related to SSL terminations, ACM, Amazon Certificate Manager, domains, Route 53, because those are outside of the free tier, and we want to keep this free tier only. And also it's a basic website again. So we're gonna just keep it like this for now. One very, very important thing that we have to do though, when we go down, as you can see, the CloudFront certificate, it works. Like this is like this is a CloudFront HTTPS version, like it's gonna allow you to be secure still, like all the traffic is gonna be encrypted, but you're not gonna have a custom domain. We can only access this through the CloudFront.net endpoint that we will see as soon as we are deploying this distribution. This is the key point. There is a default root object. With the fact that we did not allow public access to the bucket, and also we did not allow access to the objects and similar, they're not public right now. If I don't specify a default root object, CloudFront automatically requests to list the buckets, like the objects, and that is not allowed. What we are not allowing a get object. It's gonna be even we're not allowing a list object. We only allow get object on the S3 bucket. This is gonna be even clearer when we actually go and see the policy that gets created on the bucket, because as you can see, there's going to be one specific API that is allowed, and it's get object. But the default, without a default root object, the API call that CloudFront makes to begin with is list objects, and that's going to be not allowed. So it's going to give us a 403. So what we need to do is say, hey, I want you to actually go to index.html. And again, this is like a parallel to what we have done before. If we go back to properties and we go back to static website hosting, we have to do the same thing. Index document, we need to provide that because this is hosting. It's very similarly like it's giving you a get object, and you have to provide the object that is the first type of that is the first time that is allowed, like the first object that is provided. So we can go back and say HTML index.html, and that is the one that, again, if we go back to our code, it's here, it's in our build, and this is like index.html, and that is basically the React created static version of the website, the entry point for the application, the static application that is being created. So now that we have index.html, we can, if we want the comments and everything, we are done basically for this. What we have to do now is create a distribution, and this is gonna take a while because again, it's pushing all the content everywhere. And again, what we can do is actually this. We can choose where to push the content. It can be globally, and this is done, as you can see, price class is use all edge location, best performance, but it's also more expensive. Again, it's gonna be free in your case, like if you're trying and coding along with me, it's gonna be free because there's not a lot of content and there is a pretty generous free tier, but there are also other opportunities like US, Canada, and Europe, US, Canada, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa, and then there are other edge location that are even smaller, that are like they are more dense, and those are the ones that are used on top of the regular edge locations. If you use all the edge location, we're not gonna change anything, so we're gonna go just back. And this again is gonna take a second. As you can see now, we do have actually a domain name, and this is basically gonna be our endpoint for this website. And this is very basically when the status is gonna be deployed, we can access this domain. I'm gonna actually drop it in the chat so everyone can actually see it. But that's gonna be the domain of the website, and that website is taken from the S3, and it's whatever we deployed with the CI/CD pipeline that we built before. Hey Michael, how's it going? And so yeah, as you can see, this is like very easy. Like there are a lot of extra steps that if you really wanna go deeper, but if you wanna like if this is like the optimal use case for like a personal portfolio, my own personal portfolio is deployed exactly like this. And this is an optimal use case for a resume. Is an optimal use case for maybe a blog that you actually deploy with like, I don't know, PDFs, or I don't know, PDF not really, but if you do markdowns in similar, there are a lot of like good use cases on why you would want to use this type of distribution and this type of deployment. And first of all, it's because it's very easy. As you can see, it's actually pretty straightforward. let's see. The deal is still taking, and this takes a lot again, because if we were to choose US, Canada, and Europe only, probably would take a little bit less. Now we're spreading a little bit everywhere. The first deployment is always going to take longer. Every subsequent deployment, when you're changing or editing some settings in here, is going to take a little bit anyways. So let's see, whenever it's deciding to do that. But otherwise, yeah, that is literally almost everything related to this type of deployment. Now we do have it. The only thing that we could add again is CNAME, as you can see here. There is CNAME that we could add, and that would be a canonical name. That means like a custom domain. And again, outside of the free tier, so we're not gonna cover for this one. But we basically have our deployment as if everything worked well, if everything worked. Oh, in the meantime, while we do this, what we're gonna do is actually go to the permissions, bucket policy, and as you can see, boom, our S3 actually changed. And as you can see, it's a little bit tiny, but as you can see, what we have now is that we allow CloudFront, a CloudFront user with the origin access identity of these that actually, if I'm not mistaken, I am mistaken. So this is like I thought it was gonna be the same ID here. It's actually not. It's a randomly generated identity, but it's actually tied to that specific distribution. And as you can see, the action that is allowed is the get object, not the list object. If we don't specify the default root object, it's gonna ask for hey, show me what is in this bucket, and it's gonna say, hey, you don't have access to that, it's forbidden, so we're gonna have problems. So now we can actually return here and see, maybe we're almost there. Oh man, it's taking a little bit, huh? Just yeah, takes 5-6 minutes maybe. It depends really. Some days it takes less, some days it takes more. I'm not sure on why there is so much like fluctuations, but otherwise basically that is all there is to it. We're gonna just wait for it. And in the meantime, if you guys have any question, I hope this is still working. Oh my, please. My OBS is acting up. Okay, we're back, I think. I hope. It's a little bit acting up. I don't know why. I'm very sorry. Oh, there you go. We're alive and well, maybe. So I'm just like looking at I'm waiting for this to be enabled. Oh, it's actually enabled now. No. OBS, you have worked so well until now. Okay, we should be almost good. Okay, so as you can see, I don't know if everything is working now. It should be working. Okay, no, it should be working. So hopefully, if if it's helpful, if my OBS is not acting up and everything, we can actually go to our domain name, and we can actually open the link in a new tab. And as you can see, whoop, everything works just as anticipated. And this, as you can see, this was the entire thing. This was very, very fast, very quick to work. It really, I mean, it took 1 hour maybe while explaining it, and it's a very easy deployment. And the CI/CD pipeline as well is very, very helpful because right now I can push a new change. I can push a new change to my application. Let's say instead of as you can see here, there is Learn React, and I can go back to wherever it is. This is like my React app, and it says Learn React. Let's not learn React. Let's actually say join us. All your base are belong to us, and let's actually refer it back to our 100 days of cloud.com. Jeez. What's happening? Okay, here, 100daysofcloud.com. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna push the change. I'm gonna say add the link to HDOC in the Days of Cloud website. I'm gonna commit. Okay. I'm gonna push, and the thing about this is now that the CloudFront distribution and S3 are they're working together, but every push that I make to S3 doesn't need to be redeployed with the long deployment that we just had with CloudFront. It doesn't take that much anymore, because now if I go back to my actions, I see that there is a new action coming. I can start that action and it's gonna work properly, hopefully. I know, I'm sorry, there have been a little bit of problems with my streaming software OBS. I don't know why. It's a little bit blocked, and I'm very sorry about that. As you can see, there is a in progress, and there is a build currently. As you can see, remember that when we were looking at the CI/CD, the YAML file that we built, as you can see that there is this job. It's called build, and as you can see, there is the direct thing here that is called CI/CD build. If I were to have multiple jobs that were independent of each other, or maybe you were using artifacts from one previous section to actually continue working to do something after, and there is a second job with different action, that would be another, and would be right under this one. So now we just deployed the app. So if we go back to our React app here, and now if we change this, join us, and clicking it will bring us to 100 Days of Cloud. So as you can see, this is like working properly. It doesn't have any issues so far I can think of. So this would be actually everything I have for you today, and as you can see, it's very easy, very workable. I'm gonna drop the link for this CloudFront distribution on the chat, so you can open it yourself and see that everything works nicely. And as you can see, that was a short project on actually how to create a CI/CD pipeline to deploy a static website on S3 and CloudFront, securing the bucket as well, which is actually very important. So I hope you liked it. If you did follow it along with us, I would love to see your website on, your CloudFront distribution on. If you wanna drop your link to me or on Twitter or similar, I would love to see if you've done anything similar, or even if you're building your own website and you want to deploy it like this. Shoot me a message. Let me see your website. I would really love to see it. And I just I would say that this might be it for this tutorial, for this project. So if you have any question, I would love to take any question that I can help you with. And otherwise, if there are no questions, I will definitely see you in another of these live streams. So this was the very first stream that our community did. We plan on doing many more, actually following other projects in our 100 Days of Cloud Idea GitHub repository. If you're interested in AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle, any cloud provider you're interested in cloud computing or anything, please join us. We have a very large community. We're almost 1,000 people now working on getting certification, getting experience in the cloud space. And we would really love to have you, and we would really like to help you fulfill your cloud dreams, if you can tell that. If you have any question, please drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I will see you next time. And I'm gonna wait just a few seconds to see if everything is working, and to see if anyone has a question for me. Unfortunately, again, my OBS is really not helping, but if no one has a chat, I will see you guys in the next live stream, and I hope you liked it. If you have any comments or anything, please follow me on Twitter. Let me know about what you would like to see next. Anything related to, I can help with anything related to AWS, maybe most of it. And let me know if you liked it. Let me know Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere you can follow me. For my Twitter is Antonio_Lofiego. You can see the channel name. That's just put an underscore between name and last name. And you can follow me. You can follow anyone on the 100 Days of Cloud core team. And we plan on keeping up with this content if you like it. And I'll talk to you soon. And I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us.